course and it's ready to offer to the public is, how will I sell it now? Like, who will I sell it to? How will I find them? And how will I get them to buy? And that's why I wanted to make this video where I'm going to actually walk you through how can you use a webinar, a free webinar, to sell your online course. And you can also modify this to sell your online program. So for those of you who can't see me, hello. I'm in the lower left corner. I'll make myself a little bigger. Hello. My name is Angel Santos, and I'm the author of Greater is Calling and the founder of the Christian Shepreneur Academy. And I have the honor of helping women turn their expertise into online courses and programs so they have more time, more flexibility, and more freedom to spend their life doing what they most enjoy and have been called to do. And I super enjoy online marketing, which is basically what we're going to be talking about today. Why am I such a fan of online marketing? Well, I was born with something that gives me chronic fatigue. And when I used to work in corporate America and even nonprofit America, it was such a challenge for me. It was really hard. I would actually lay down in the backseat of my car truck or just in my office during my lunch breaks because my energy would just be so low, and it was harder to make it during the day. And so once I became a more full-time entrepreneur, I still wanted to create a lifestyle where I get to live, I get to do things, but it also is accommodating to my health. And that's what online marketing to me is. It gives you the freedom to work smarter and not harder. And I'll be really upfront with you. It can be slower in the beginning, but the amount you can make, the people you can help, and the things that you can do from online, just from the comfort of your home, the comfort of your office, is a beautiful thing. And so actually what I like to do is actually walk with you through outlining a webinar so you know exactly what to do. And the reason that having a webinar, offering a webinar, is a great way to sell your online course or your program is because it allows you the closest thing to a face-to-face connection with your potential client, right? While online marketing is great, there are so many other people selling online that if you just were to message someone and say, hey, I have this product, would you like to buy it? Well, they don't know you, right? Or they don't maybe have a strong enough relationship with you where that know, like, and trust factor is in place for them to buy. But if you spent an hour with them, demonstrating your expertise, answering their questions, showing, not just telling, but showing the value of what your product, your service, your course is about, and then you make the offer, now they are more likely to buy. So that is why you probably have either been invited to a webinar yourself, or online, just free class, or you may see others in your niche or industry or other niches or industries offering webinars. It's because it's a super effective way to reach one-to-many and sell your course. So I'm just going to type up here webinar outline. As you can see, I'm just using a Google Doc, so nothing too fancy. Google Drive is free. And how you want to outline your webinar is you always, and I say outline because once you have the outline, then you can deliver it. There are a few keys to selling your product with a webinar. One is the outline, because the outline dictates what you're actually going to do and say when you're in front of everyone. The other key thing is advertising the webinar. Because here's the thing, sometimes when we say, oh, okay, well, I'll just have a free webinar, and then you announce it one time to the world with maybe a social media post, and then like a few people sign up and you're like, okay, I don't know what else to do. I've told them it's free. I'm trying to help and it's free. Why aren't the masses signing up? Even when something is free, it's still your job to effectively communicate the value of it so they take action and sign up. That's what marketing is. All marketing is you taking the actions to effectively communicate the value of what they're going to receive if they show up. And you need to do it in enough ways and enough times for them to see what you're saying, understand what you're saying, be reminded of what you're saying, so they take action. And the first thing that you're going to start with when it comes to the outline is, what's your product? So many times when it comes to webinars, people think, well, what do my people want to learn? And they forget the whole purpose of the webinar is actually to sell your program, right? So what is your product? And I'll take the example of, let's just say someone is a financial coach or consultant. And the product they have is a course that shows you how to get your budget in shape in 30 days. So I'll just call it that. Actually, that's really long. So let's say financially fit. How about that? In 30. Oh, I like that. Get financially fit in 30. Get financially fit in 30 days. Okay, that's super long, but that's okay. So the product is Get Financially Fit in 30 Days, where they're going to sell a course at the end of the webinar where someone learns how to use their budget to keep more of their money instead of feeling like they're living paycheck to paycheck, however much their actual paycheck is. Okay, so if you know this is your product, then that's the first thing you want to get clear on, because it dictates everything else that you're going to do. Okay, so there are a few key pieces to structuring a webinar. This works for almost any niche. I know sometimes when we're watching things, it can be easy to say, well, yeah, I get that for a financial consultant, but I'm a wedding planner, or I'm a personal trainer, or I'm a dietitian, or I'm a beauty blogger. I am telling you, it does not matter. This structure will work for almost any niche or industry. And if you have a question about your specific niche or industry, I encourage you to leave it in the comments. I'm also happy to schedule a talk with you, and you can literally just ask me. We can send you a link, and you can just ask me, okay, I watched the video, this is my question. Happy to help. Okay. So the first thing that you're going to want to make sure you include is an introduction. That introduction is key because a big part of online marketing is reaching out and building relationships, right? So since we're not always spending the time in person to build that relationship with your potential clients, you want to establish it at the beginning of the webinar. And so what I like to include in the introduction is some type of story that gives a before and after. This does a few things, right? If you just start with, I have 3 degrees and I've made this much money and blah, 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 and you don't share any of your vulnerability, you don't show any of your hard moments, you don't show any of your challenges, you can be hard to relate to. And people can feel like you're talking at them instead of actually being there with them. So instead of just saying, hi, I'm Leslie and I've made $39 million or $39,000 and this, I've managed to pay off all my student loans and let them connect with you first so they care a bit more. So when you get to the I, they're actually listening. So share a story of where were you before you had this transition yourself, the hard times, and then how did you get to where you are now so you can be in front of them, helping them. So share your before and after. And then if you have it, share a case study. So again, before you talk more about yourself, share a story of someone else that you have been able to help, and come from their perspective, not yours. So don't just say, I was able to help this person do this and this, and in my program. Instead say, Lisa came to me and she just kind of felt overwhelmed. She made good money, but she felt like she was drowning in debt each month. In the program, it's okay to mention it, in the course, she was able to get her debt to a manageable amount, and also save more than she ever thought possible. And just 3 months ago, she was able to take her entire family on a 2-week vacation, something she didn't think she would be able to do for years. Like, when they hear that, instead of just coming from I helped this person, when they hear a case study, a story of someone aside from you who is able to use your system, but it changed their life, they start to think, oh wow, it's possible for me. So if you have a case study, that would be great, even if the person didn't pay you. Because I know for some of you, you may still work full time and you're really good at what you do, but maybe you haven't really charged for it yet. Maybe you've just been helping in a volunteer capacity. Maybe you've just been helping friends and family, and now you're ready to charge for it. And if that's the case, it's okay to share a story of someone who didn't pay, but you helped. We don't need to know that they didn't pay you, right? You still help them. And if you don't have anyone you've helped or supported, but you want to include a case study, I would suggest waiting 30 days and asking a few friends or family members, hey, would you go through this and then give me your feedback? Because the confidence you have when you've been able to help someone and share those results with others, it will come across even through your webinar and allow people to gravitate to it. With that being said, progress is always better than perfection, so you can by all means start now, do your first webinar now without a case study, and then get the case studies from people you help, and then go from there. So now that you've done the story before and after your experience, you've backed it up with the case story, now you can tell them about some of your qualifications. And again, just remember to be humble. And what I just mean by that is, I like to kind of call this the grateful expert. And what that means is, after you share the case study, you say, and I'm just so grateful for the opportunities that my journey has allowed me to do. I went from, reference that before person, to someone who has served on a Forbes coaching council, to someone who has been able to publish 2 Amazon bestseller books. And I don't say this to boast, but I say this to really let you know that it's possible for you too, because we're no different, right? To me, coming from, and you can say it in your words, but to me, when you share your expertise in a manner of gratitude, I think it still allows them to connect with you versus you just reading off a resume. Because remember, the whole point of this webinar is to very quickly create this relationship where they know, like, and trust you, so we can prime them for your course or your program, so you can help them at a deeper level. And the last one that is always going to be at the end of any webinar you do, it's going to be the invitation for more help. So I like to skip to these 2. I like to skip to these, the 1st and the 5th, because these are really like some of the most important pieces, and it kind of helps you understand how you're starting and where you're going, even from the very beginning. So I call this the invitation to help. And what you're going to do during this invitation is you're going to recap what they learned. You're going to share what they still need, right? And then you're going to invite them to work with you. So we're starting off with the intro, story, case study, grateful expert, and then you're going to end with, listen, I just want to thank everyone for being here. Today we talked about this, and this, and this is really helpful. To get the full result, you also need this, and this, and that's why I created X, Y, Z, okay? So part 2 is now we're going to get into the learning phase of the webinar. And now you're going to share, this is what I call, you're going to share the 1 through 5, okay? And the 1 through 5 is the 5 things that they ultimately need to get through their goals, right? So you're going to basically go over the 1 through 5. And this is what this means. If your course, like just to go with the example, if your course is about budgeting, then you want to say, hey, to really get a handle over your finances, just like Lisa did in the case study that I mentioned earlier, you're going to need to, create a budget. You're going to need to you're going to need to create an expense sheet that you review on a weekly basis. You're going to need to start your savings. You're going to need to do, 2 other things. Let's just say it's 5 steps, right? You're going to share details on each of the 5 steps because these are the essential pieces. And honestly, this is basically the outline of your product. You're not mentioning your product right now, but you're just telling them basically you're going to need this, and this. And what you're going to say is, today we're going to go over, or we have time for 1 through 2. Because they honestly cannot get a full transformation from you in just 1 hour. Few people can. I know some of you who may have been on webinars, unfortunately, have been on webinars where people don't actually give you any content. They just give you fluff and try to buy. They say, oh, we don't have enough time. And then they try to sell you something. This is not what you're doing. You're honestly going to give them, teaching that will help them, that will teach them something. You want them to walk away with that webinar at least knowing 1 to 2 things that they can do right now that will help them with their budget. What you're not going to do, and you don't have time to, is to teach them all 5 things into detail, right? They won't be able to grasp so much at one time, nor is it fair for them to get so much information for free. You have a business. Just like they want a result, you want a result as well. So you're going to tell them that today we're going to go into, I'm going to show you how to do number 1 and then number 2. And then you're also going to prep them for the sale. And this is what this means. So often, sometimes people get upset in webinars. And by the way, this format also works in in-person events as well. It's the same one that I follow. And sometimes people in maybe workshops or webinars or even a Facebook Live, it works there too, because they feel like, well, all you said was you were going to help me, and now we're at the last 5 minutes, and when I have a question, all of a sudden you're saying buy my product. So you're going to overcome that because you're going to tell them right from the beginning. What we're going to go over is 1 through 2, and then at the end of today's webinar, for those of you who want more help or want more assistance with this topic, with this transformation, I'll be sharing at the end of this how you can get more support from me should you want it, right? And then at the end, basically how I do it is in step 5, I usually tell them, if you got what you needed, I'd love if you sent me your feedback or your wins, because hello, that's future case studies. And then I tell them, and if you feel like you need more support or you want to work with me further on getting this transformation, this is what I've created to help you, right? So again, you're not forcing a sell on anyone. You're honestly helping them where you can in this moment and giving them the option for further help, giving them the option for further support to reach their goal. So it's a beautiful thing because you're empowering them and you're taking the pressure off of yourself. It's not like you're trying to trick anyone or manipulate anyone into buying. You're being very upfront. I'm going to help you. And then at the end, I'm going to make an offer. You do what makes you happy, right? That's what you're saying, but in a different way. I also, you may kind of hear me give scripts a lot. So I have quite a few years of copywriting, so writing for magazines, newspaper, radio, TV under my belt. And I've had so many people pour into me too. So I do tend to give scripts, like things you can say. Of course, you modify it to your voice and your brand. I'm just kind of guiding you on the structure that works. And again, if you have any questions, you can put them in the comments. And I also have a group on Facebook that I will link to in the description of this video. And we would love to have you join us. And you can also bring your questions there. Okay, so now that you've gave your introduction, you shared the 1 to 5. Now it's time to do what? Can you guess? So now you're going to teach 1, right? And how I would recommend is you literally just break up whatever 1 is into 3 teaching points. So you're going to do teaching point 1, teaching point 2, and teaching point 3. And can you guess what step 4? I told you this was easy. That's why you start with the introduction and number 5, because after that, everything is easy. And I'm telling you, it's simple. I know it's not easy because now you have to think about the teaching points and plugging it in. So I'm not going to say it's easy because I do understand that this makes it simple to do. It makes it quicker to do, but I do acknowledge the just mental work that goes into thinking and committing to filling out this outline. But I'm telling you, it doesn't get easier than this. So, teaching point 2, and once again, I'm going to copy and paste because why retype when I don't need to? Work smarter, not harder. So for part 4, you're going to teach part 2, right? Point 1, point 2, point 3, and then step 5. Now, there are courses out there, and don't get me wrong, there are courses out there that'll charge you a couple thousand, couple hundred to learn what you can learn from watching this video. But why am I telling you? Because here's what I know is that marketing is a journey. You do one webinar and you may have 40% of the people buy. Then you do another one and no one. Marketing is this ongoing journey that has testing and tweaks. And if there are things that I can offer to support you along your journey to create and sell courses and online programs, I want to do that. You're going to have enough work just plugging this in and doing all of the other pieces to set up your webinar and then fill it. If I can give you an outline that helps, that's exactly what I want to do. So this is the outline that you can use to sell your online course or program. If you I wanted to share one more thing. So another great tip for making this effective is I don't want to overwhelm you, But I will tell you, one thing I would recommend is to actually have a workbook or a worksheet. Why? Because if you send them a workbook or a worksheet that they have to print out, then they are more likely to actually get involved. They're more likely to be seated at a desk instead of trying to, like, tune in. If they're watching tuned in from their drive home, or they're listening, they're not as engaged as you need them to be. They're not learning at the level you need them to learn for them to actually be ready to take the next step and buy your product. But if you have their full attention, if you've given them a worksheet that they can follow along to, and you're already teaching them, you're training them to learn from you, you're positioning yourself as an expert, again, you are warming up that relationship, and they are more likely to buy. So once again, thank you for watching. I love feedback on this video, what you found helpful in the comments. If you have questions, if it left you with questions, if something isn't clear, I'd love for you to leave those comments, those feedback, those comments in the comment section of this video. And if you have questions or just want general support, you're welcome to join our free Facebook group called Course Newbies. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.